So first of all, thank you very much, Kerttu, for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here. I graduated from the same school, or is it called, then it was called the department, and I graduated with accounting and finance degrees from University of Tartu. And today, just a couple of topics wanted to talk, again mentioning the AI. I think that exactly like you said, that everybody talks about it, and I wanted to share some practicalities. But actually, my today's focus, what I would like to say is that how to get there. Because honestly, my personal feeling is that when people talk about it and somebody tells what you can do, everybody asks that, okay, but how do we get there? And I think here is something that I can give some practical experiences, what we have done, and what I could recommend also, and especially if you are working in academia, then also to tell to the students and where to focus on and these kind of things. Then first of all, I think I try to start with a joke. So if it's not very funny, then apologies. But it actually mixes very well with the previous discussion there about the decision making. I guess maybe you have heard it, but I guess you can agree. Everybody agrees to the statement that every manager can make good decisions when they have all the information available. I think it's clear. And what they also say is actually that what is the difference, let's say, with every manager and really an expert is that they can make good decisions with limited information ability. So that is the difference actually what we have. And the joke part comes here. Every organization, you have managers who are making decisions without any information. And maybe you have experienced in your life, I have experienced it many times, it's extremely painful. So that's the thing. And that's why my discussion today is about why the data is so important. Very shortly about my background, because GPV as a name is, I don't know anyone knows the name GPV. I would be really surprised if somebody says that, yes, I've heard about the company. And every day you wake up, if our products don't work, then your life will be miserable. So that's another funny thing. So if you look at the company facts, we have like 7,500 people. We have 1.2 billion euros revenue last year. And we are having factories all over the world. So if I start from the right, we are in China, Sri Lanka, Thailand, a lot of places in Europe, and in US part or American part, we have only one factory, which is in Mexico. And the way we are linked to the data is actually coming from simply the number of products. And what is thing that if you make electronics, it's a bit like Legos. You have seen the Legos. So if you put the Legos together from the pieces, it's the same thing that this is a piece of, let's say, electronics. I would say it contains, I would say, roughly 100 different parts. And all of these parts work. So if you look at, we are making 37 to 40 million products. I think the average product, we talk about 400 or 500 components. So we talk about billions of components what we are using. And there's a complete traceability what we do with each product. So data is so critical for us, not only for, let's say, our reporting, but for really existing as such. And the things what we do in the areas where I said that every day you actually live, you wake, you use our products, then some of the things, building technology, we are making products, for example, elevators, escalators. So if you use them, then it's our products. A lot of energy. This is really a huge market. We call it clean tech because it sounds more fancy, but actually it's energy. And right now this thing is extremely booming. I guess you know why. Well, there are maybe two main reasons. Is that especially the US has not really invested into infrastructure for past 50 years. So everything is getting very old. So in US we see already 5 years everybody is investing into new infrastructure things, especially when it comes to the electricity. Then this AI driven, you need a lot of infrastructure to function, that all these systems need to be there. So this kind of energy. And of course we are switching over from this kind of very simple power generation where you have one, let's say, power plant. Now the power generation is really distributed. And this makes it very complex actually to keep this thing functioning. And how you keep it functioning is it's electronics. And that's what we produce. We do some high-tech consumer stuff, industrial robots. We do some measurement thing, medical technology. And what I'm really proud of is actually the transportation part. We do a lot of electrical things for trains. So wherever in the world you are taking a train, it's most probably has our made electronics there. But we never put our logo there. We have the customers. who are then designing the products and giving it to us to produce. So the industry, it's called electronics manufacturing services. It's around 500 billion a year. I think the largest company, maybe you have heard the name Foxconn. Usually they are in the news because somebody has jumped from the roof. So, we have the newspapers always telling the negative things, but, they put together the iPhones and all kind of computers and servers. So it's a huge industry globally with millions of people working to produce these products, what then you are using every single day. And we are very proud to produce them. And my background with the company is that I started after studying accounting. I started as a business controller. It was very interesting to hear when Marko was talking about roles and these kind of things, that because at that time it used to be a Finnish company, so my role was business controller. And then I know exactly I found these balanced scorecards and all this kind of stuff, that yes, 25 years ago, that's exactly what we did. Then I went to China. I lived in China for 5 years, and I was the operations manager. I built 2 factories there, had more than 1,000 people in there. And then around 2012, we had decided to actually standardize the whole company. So I became head of processes and information technology. So my job was to standardize all the processes in the company and to build up the IT systems. So that's where my interest from data is actually coming from. And now I've been working, I think it's already 6 years with the customers. So I looked after for the largest customers in the world. They are really huge companies. I think my biggest customer has something like 370,000 employees globally. And it's a really cool job, I would say, and you can see what is the future coming, especially when it comes to all these topics about the AI, where our customers are really in like a leading edge, but also all this transformation to the clean energy, the sustainability topics. These are really, especially when you talk about the large companies. And there is, I think it was interesting to listen to the first presentation, was also these keywords over the years. So, for example, these gender topics were also quite relevant, I would say, still 2 years ago. I still remember some of my counterparts. One said that I'm a white male. I was really happy to get the promotion because nobody white and male got the promotion in their company of 100,000 people. These topics are not so popular, let's say anymore. But you can see very interestingly all this what you read in the newspapers, and we know that we actually give our inputs and make the world go around. So it's really interesting field to work on. Why data management is so critical, and this is when I said about that. Yes, you make a product, but what you don't see is what is inside. And just some simple facts. If you take a smartphone, what everybody carries with them, it's around 2,500 pieces. If you pick it apart and put all the sides there, simple one maybe 1,000 pieces. More complex ones, I think the new iPhones are even goes to 3,000 different parts. If you take an electric car, it's around 30,000 different parts what are going into this one. If you look at a large airplane, it's around 6 million different parts going into there. And then if you look at sorry, not the EMS, I wanted to put OEM, I had a typo there. If you look at this, where these parts are coming, they are coming in large company cases from usually can be up to 100,000 different suppliers. So this is how the world supply chains are working. So usually the raw materials are found in Africa, in Russia, in these kind of places. Then they are all shipped to China to be made into components. Some of these components are used in China to make products, but a large part of these components are shipped all over the world, including to Estonia or to Switzerland or wherever the factories are. And then they are assembled into these cars, into mobile phones, into these airplanes. So it's a huge, huge complexity. And the requirements to actually, when we heard about these uncertainties there, you need information about this, and to track all of this with these tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of suppliers with billions of parts coming in to your factories, that's really pure data crunching job. So today's supply chain management is all about actually information management. It's all about the data management. And really this kind of thing, what I remember one of my colleagues said that nowadays it's not the companies who are competing, it's the supply chains which are competing. And there is this kind of thing that, people sometimes ask that, why is Apple so successful? Well, one of the reasons why they are successful is that they are extremely good in supply chain management. If you notice, like every year, somewhere in October, November, comes up a new model. new version. And that requires that the whole supply chain is able to keep this kind of deadline. It's not possible to say that, okay, we have a new iPhone, but the processor is old, or something like this. Everything has to work from this combination. And if you look at in the past, and a good example is always leading is this car manufacturing. And if you look at before, let's say 10 years, 20 years ago, the supply chain strategy was clearly about getting this kind of strategic partners who are managing part of the complexity. So you had a huge complexity with these tens of thousands of suppliers. You said that, okay, let me have, let's say, 100 or 200 partners. So it's like a pyramid. So if you take a modern car, you have this kind of, let's say, some electronics or some parts are done by Bosch. You have the Magna, you have Denso, Continental. So they take and give this car. So the car manufacturers are really making the assembly factory, let's say, putting the whole light into the car. But they have no clue actually how the light is made because it's completely outsourced and some partner is developing this one. So that was a clear direction, let's say, started around maybe 25 years ago up to 15, 20 years ago. And let's say 5 years ago. And what now these new tools of data management is actually allowing is that the same car manufacturer is able to manage that complexity. That's the big difference. Because of this, the data integrations are becoming easier and the calculation capacity has become cheap enough to manage this kind of thing. So what we clearly see is these supply chains are moving extremely transparent. Part of it is coming also by the regulation. I guess you have heard about the conflict minerals. So if you produce something, you have to prove that none of the minerals are coming from this kind of conflict regions. And in order to control this, like I said, it starts from somewhere in Russia, then goes to China, then comes to, let's say, Estonia, and then goes to, let's say, Germany to make the final product. So where these things are all coming, you have to carry this information. So, back 20 years ago, you got the invoice with the materials, and that was it, kilograms or pieces and the price. Nowadays, when you get this information, actually, you want to know also this component, where was the copper coming from? And this has to come with each of the batch, and you have to record this, and you have to then link it to your products and pass it on to your customer. Same thing what is coming nowadays with this, I think it's called CO2 certificates, or maybe I'm saying wrongly the name, but the idea is that our customers, when we make a quotation to them, it's not anymore that what is the price of that product, it's also what is the CO2 footprint of producing that product. And it includes, of course, the CO2 footprint of our factories, which is actually very low because we use mainly green energy, but also the whole supply chain. So the complexity, let's say, what the information has to go through is really getting, let's say, on a completely different level. And yes, the winners are the ones who can create the supply chains which are agile, adaptable, and where the interests are also aligned. So that is these three things which are so critical for this one. And how to get it done, it's only one way. You have to be really good at data management. So how do you build a data-driven organization? I would put it to 4 steps. And these are the 4 steps, and I'll give you some examples also. So first of all, every activity leaves data trace. You need to collect it. So absolutely everything the company does, it leaves a trace. So it can be the work time. It can be, let's say, certain activities, certain measurements. We measure even humidity and temperatures in the factory when something was produced, so we can see what happened during this kind of production. So first of all is that you have to understand that everything you do leaves a data trace, and you have to collect this and store the data. And because the data storage is so cheap, you can actually afford it to do nowadays. Then the second thing is actually that it's not only enough you record this one, it's also how you arrange this one. So second step, you need to have a software to support every activity. So if you come to any of our factories, then everybody who is working in the shop floor, they have these touch screens in front, and whatever happens, they can record there. If it's not recorded automatically, but they are able to input the data. So you have a software. You don't write it on a paper or this kind of things. You have the software to do everything. And it doesn't have to be ERP. That is something also that nowadays the world is moving, this kind of modular, so that everything has a designed or this kind of ERP software which is just designed for certain activities. So it's not that there is one software which solves the problem, but it's really about this having a custom built, or you can configure softwares to support this one. Then the third thing is that you need to connect the data. And that is, again, that in a best case, let's say what people want to have is that I have one huge system, everything is there. That is maybe not the best strategy to build your data architecture. Instead, you have different this kind of storages where you have the data, and then your job is actually to connect this kind of data. And then the last thing, when this is done, you can apply the algorithms. And if I give you, I guess everybody knows Amazon. I guess everybody's a customer of Amazon, and it's really interesting how Amazon actually has really perfected this kind of things. So one example is that if you go to Amazon webpage and you just input some kind of searches, and you don't buy anything, you just look for, let's say, smartwatch or something that you're interested. Amazon picks up because that your activity leaves a trace. So that is what they do. And now it is all passed through. So for example, they also see that you are living, let's say, well, Estonia is a bad example. We don't have any Amazon warehouses, but let's say you live in London and you browse something in Amazon webpage, they pick it up. And they actually, what they do is they give a signal to go and pick that thing what you have looked up, not purchased yet, to go and pick it up and ship it to the warehouse which is nearest to you. And then what happens is that maybe you come back next day and you actually make the purchase. And that part is already, or that product is already waiting very close to you. And that's how they can, get this kind of 1 hour or 24-hour delivery times, because they are tracking every activity and leaving this kind of data. There is a bit, I don't know, is it a funny or not so funny story, but from the US there was a family, and they suddenly started to get this kind of promotional package of baby diapers. And they were really like, why on earth they send us this kind of promotional package? And then a couple of weeks later, it turned out that the teenage daughter was actually pregnant. And how did Amazon know it before anyone else? Because she started Googling certain topics. And they picked it up and sent it as a promotional thing. So this is how you can take it to the extremes, that every activity in a world, it leaves a trace. You have to collect it. You use a software for that, of course. There is no other alternative, no papers. Then you connect all these different parts, and then you apply the algorithms to take the action based on these kind of things. I wanted to give two very practical examples. Company A, I put it company A, and then a company B, and we can say that company A was our company maybe, I would say, 15 years ago, and then the company B is what we are today. So first example, when a person comes and we do training, because we give this kind of on-job training about electronics and how to do different things, then people signed the paper. They came like the same classroom, and everybody that, yes, I joined this training, I was there. That was the thing, and that was a record. And then when customers came to audit, they asked that, do you have training records? Yes, we took out the papers and said that, yes, everybody in the company is trained. So that was there. Then what happens, of course, is that when we produce something, there was a simple thing. You buy something, you have it in inventories, and you have a material spend, you have some total labor cost, you knew the payroll at the end of the month. So I was able to take this payroll and the material consumption, and then I used the Excel files, and I was able to calculate, let's say, some theoretical, I would say theoretical, at that time it was of course practical, but cost of making this product. Because I know that, let's say, you have a 1 million euros of payroll a month and you make 1 million products, therefore it costs you €1 per product to make it. Very simple Excel logic. A bit more complex in practice, but you get the point. Then products are shipped from distributor stock to end customers. So you ship your ready-made products somewhere and then customer buys it from there. And now what happened is that customer claims a product, says that this is a faulty product, it does not work. And question is still simple, what can a company do in this situation? If this is your data situation, can you do something? I guess the best you can do is you say, I'm sorry, here is a replacement product. You look at this one and there is not much you can do. You have no idea actually what happened, when it happened, and so on. So if you look at how the data, when you go through this, every activity leaves a trace, you collect it, you have a softwares, you connect the data, and you apply the algorithms. How it works now? So first of all the trainings are registered in the softwares, which means dates, validity also, that I do the training today, it's valid for, let's say, 1 year. And then, for example, if 1 year from now I try to do something and my training has stopped the validity, I cannot do it, the system just stops me in the production. So I cannot do this one. So every employee, we know exactly what are the skill levels of the people. Then most manufacturing companies, or a lot of them who need to do advanced manufacturing, you have the MES system that is called Manufacturing Execution System, which controls both the process traceability and component traceability. So we know exactly what is the serial number of the product and what was the component, what is assembled into that product. And then by doing that, we also know actually when did that component arrive, when was it produced, who was the supplier, and so on and so forth. So all this information is there. Process traceability knows that we know exactly that timestamp, it's now 1448, and it was Kaur who made that product. So all of this in every process is known. And then when we ship it to customer, we know exactly each serial number with each shipment with each customer. So now when the product comes back and claims the product, so what can we do? We have all the data actually we know. So we can see and we can investigate, of course, what happens. So then we can see that, for example, it was a mistake of a component. And we analyze that that was actually the mistake of one part which now failed. Now we know immediately which other products have this one. So we can actually call the customer and say that, hey, these products might have a similar issue because maybe there was a batch mistake. Second option, maybe there was something wrong with the manufacturing, but because we have all the timestamps, we know exactly that, okay, what was, maybe the temperature changed. If you produce in factories like Mexico or Thailand, the temperature inside the factory changes during the day. And you can start seeing that, okay, maybe the returns are affected by the temperature, what was in the factory. What was interesting finding for us was that was already around 10, 15 years ago, when we tracked actually the failures and tracked back to the people, we found out that 80% of the quality issues in the production happened in the night shift. So some of the processes are actually fully automated with the machines, but you have to do still something manually. And when we started tracking this data, the failures which came back and the timestamps, it turned out that 80% was happening in the night shift. So obvious solution to get rid of 80% of your quality problems is to stop the night shift. And that became visible because we had this kind of data visibility. So this is this kind of capabilities and what you can do. And of course, I haven't mentioned the business intelligence and AI, which was actually in the header. So what is the storyline there? So like I said, yes, you can get a salesman coming and saying that my software takes care of all the problems, and you can buy him or her and you can buy that software. That doesn't seem to be a good strategy. So it's much better, let's say, also financially to have tailor-made or this kind of specific softwares for different parts and then to connect them. And then comes a big question that how do you actually connect them? And the good this kind of ability what business intelligence tools are providing is that actually you have a good business intelligence system which goes and takes the data all from the different systems and puts it into one, you can call it a data lake or data warehouse, but stores the data all what you need. So that is where the business intelligence, and there are basically three which are really global leaders. You can buy the Microsoft Power BI. You have, I think it's from Salesforce, is the Tableau. We are using heavily the Click software. And these kind of things are really the ones which take all of your data from all of the systems and you store it in one place. And then you can actually start to do the connections. And if you have connected the data, then you can apply the algorithms. When it comes to connecting the data, this is something that also was previously mentioned, this kind of that different people work in silos with the data. The key there actually to be able to connect the data is to have a master data under control. And the way when we started this journey of building up these business intelligence tools, then one of the first things was that we actually made a big table with all the data in the company. And we got around 1,000 different data fields in different softwares, like a customer number, employee number, customer address, company names, all these kind of things. But what we realized that actually to connect all the data in the company, you need roughly, it was 25 master data fields. So like a customer number. So customer number in all the systems has to be the same. And if it's all the same, then everything what is applies to, you can connect, the suppliers even to the customers. You can connect everything there. Item code, for example, employee number. So there are these kind of few things, and I think in every organization, I would say 20, 30, I would doubt if anyone has more of these really master data items. And if you look at it this way, because it can look really scary, you have 1,000 different data fields, but if you understand that your master data to connect everything in a company comes down to really managing well 20 to 30 different master data items, then you see that this job is actually not so complicated, because everything else can be applied or can be converted with these translation tables and linking it different parts. So that was a this kind of aha moment for us to realize that it's not actually so difficult as we thought in the beginning. And the last thing is this applying the algorithms, these kind of rules. And when we heard about the speculation there that what the future of the AI would be, then when Click is organizing this kind of once a year events, conferences, and they were now demonstrating what was really cool was this what was called agentic AI, agentic like agent, coming from the word of agent. And what this agentic AI is simply doing, it combines this processing, that it analyzes the data, it can actually propose a solution, and it can also then actually propose an action, and you can even automate it. So, for example, what they gave is that they analyze the forecast and see that the demand for certain products is dropping. Okay? Then there was another type of product which AI picked up that the demand is increasing. It's not very difficult from algorithms to calculate this one. Then the AI also checked that actually we haven't placed purchase orders for these parts. And then this agentic AI, what is coming as a new functionality, then said that, would you like me to place the purchase order? So, and then let's say the person was able to put yes or no. And of course, one step forward is to say that, okay, if the purchase order is less than, let's say 10,000 euros, it does it automatically. And that's what when we heard that there was a time when once a month reporting was okay. Nowadays, we can, I think it's just a matter of months, matter of years for some companies that you come to work and you see what the AI has done. And then you start fixing the problems, of course, what it has caused. So there. But the keywords there, if you want to go in that direction, that don't be afraid. It takes, I would say, these 4 steps are really critical. And the 2 more things which are not here is the data quality, because AI is making decisions based on your data quality, and if there is a problem, it's not gonna fix it. And even a bigger problem what we face, and that was interesting to when you talked about the cultural things, is actually, I would call it the data literacy. I don't know if there is a better word, but people in the companies are really illiterate when it comes to data. So they are used to that the data is there or information is there, but how this data is created, processed through the system, and how we come to these kind of conclusions, this is really poor, and this is something that needs educating, and I think it takes many years to get to this level that you get the data literacy into the society and into the companies. So that's there. I think I have also saved up some time. So if I can make one more joke about the AI, I remember one friend of mine told this, and is it now ChatGPT 4 out there? Yes, I think it's there. So if you type in that, does the God exist? You get a long answer basically saying that no, and some people believe, and then the joke is that comes out ChatGPT 6, and you type the same question, does the God exist? And you know what the answer is? It does now. Okay, so thank you very much.